Hello everyone, it's Mr. Pierce. Today, for a review, I'm going to go over Monday's homework, which was adding and subtracting practice. In the first problem, we will notice it says 5 minus 4/5. So what we should remember is that we need to rename the 5. 5, if we take 1 away from the 5, becomes a 4. Okay, I took away 1 whole, and that 1 whole is the same as 5/5. I chose to write 5/5 because the denominator of the bottom fraction is written in fifths. If it had been written in sixths, I would have chose 4 and 6/6. But because it is fifths, I'm going to write 4 and 5/5. So I write the 5/5 down. I bring over the 4/5. I subtract. 5/5 minus 4/5 is 1/5. And of course, 4 minus nothing is 4. So our answer to that problem is 4 and 1/5. In the second example, we would start by looking at the fractions. And the first thing we should realize is that they do not have the same denominator. We can make them have the same denominator by simply multiplying the denominators together. That will mean they would be divided into tenths because 2 times 5 is 10. So then I could write equivalent fractions with a denominator of 10. So let's start with the bottom one. In the denominator, what times 5 gives us 10? That would of course be 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. So 1 and 4/5 is the same as 1 and 8/10. In the top one, what times 2 gives us 10? That would of course be 5. So 1 times 5 in my numerator is 5. So that is equal to 3 and 5/10. The problem we can see is that I cannot say 5/10 minus 8/10. Again, we should always try to subtract the fraction part first. Because I cannot do that, I would have to borrow or regroup. So if I go over to the whole number 3 and I borrow 1 from it, it becomes a 2. Now I took away 1 whole, which is the same as 10/10. I already have 5/10, so that would make this 2 and 15/10. Now I can bring over the 1 and 8/10 and subtract. 15/10 minus 8/10 is 7/10. 2 minus 1 is 1. Our answer, 1 and 7/10. In the next problem, we will notice that they have the same denominator already. And because this is addition, we can start by simply adding the fractions. 1/3 plus 2/3 is 3/3. 8 plus 3 is 11. Now, 11 and 3/3 should be written as 12 because 3/3 is 1 whole plus the 11 makes it 12. Going on to the next one, we see that we have the same mixed numbers. The difference is this is a subtraction problem. When I go to subtract the fractions, I cannot say 1/3 minus 2/3. So I must borrow or regroup from the 8 in order to make that happen. So if I borrow 1 from the 8, of course, that becomes a 7. Now I took away 1 whole. We will notice the denominator that we are using for these problems is thirds. So if I took away 1 whole from the 8, that would be 3/3 because 3/3 is equal to 1 whole. So if I took away that and I got 3/3, 3/3 plus the 1/3 that I already have makes this rename to 7 and 4/3. Now I can bring over the whole number and the fraction for the bottom one and subtract. 4/3 minus 2/3 is 2/3. 7 minus 3 is 4. Our answer is 4 and 2/3. In the next problem, we will notice that the denominators are not the same. One way we've learned to do this is to simply make them have the same number of pieces by multiplying the bottom numbers. In the future, we will learn something called the least common denominator. But for today, we're just going to multiply the bottom numbers together to make them have the same number of pieces. 4 times 8 is 32. So I'm going to change each of these to 30 seconds. Let's start with the bottom one. What times 8 gives me 32 in the denominator? That would, of course, be 4. So 1 times 4 in the numerator is 4. So 1 1/8 is the same as 1 and 4, 30 seconds. In the top one, in the denominator, what times 4 gives me 32? That would, of course, be 8. So if I multiply by 8 in the denominator, I should do the same to the numerator. 1 times 8 is 8. So 3 and 1/4 is the same as 3 and 8, 30 seconds. Now we can simply add. Okay, 8 30 seconds plus 4 30 seconds is 12 30 seconds. Boy, I know that one will simplify already. And 3 plus 1, of course, is 4. Now, if you remember, one of the ways that we learned to simplify that made it a little shorter was to find all of the factors of the numerator. So the factors of 12 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. And then we want to find the greatest common factor. So in order to do that, does 12 give us 32? Of course not. Is there anything times 6 that gives us 32? No. Is there anything times 4 that gives us 32? That would be a big yes. So we're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 4 in order to simplify. So the 4, which is our whole number, stays the same. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And 32 divided by 4 is 8. So our final answer, 4 and 3/8. In the next problem, first thing I notice is that the denominators and the fractions are not the same. So I'm going to start by making them have the same number of pieces by simply multiplying those two denominators together. 3 times 4 is 12. So I'm going to change both of these fractions to 12ths. Okay, so let's start with the bottom one. What times 4 gives you 12 in the denominator? That would, of course, be 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. So 3 3/4 is the same as 3 and 9/12. In the top one, what times 3 gives you 12? That would be 4. So in the numerator, 4 times 2 is 8. So that would be 6 and 8/12. Now, this is subtraction. Can we say 8/12 minus 9/12? No, we cannot. So I must borrow or regroup. So I'm going to go over to the whole number, the 6. And I'm going to borrow 1 from it. That would make that a 5. Now, I took away 1 whole. That 1 whole is the same as 12/12. I already have 8/12. So that's going to be 5 and 20/12. Now I bring over the other one, 3 and 9/12, and I subtract. 20/12 minus 9/12 is 11/12. 5 minus 3 is 2. Our answer is 2 and 11/12. I hope this is a good review for you. I've seen some people doing some rather creative ways of solving these. I really think this is the best method for us to do it. It's very consistent, same process every time. So make sure you do your homework tonight, and we will go over it on Thursday from 9:30 to 10, okay, during office hours. See you then.